Imagine you're a professional football athlete in the prime of your life. You're built like Myles Garrett, get paid millions of dollars, and can do no wrong on the field. You feel invincible until one day you get hit on the head just the right way. You receive a nasty concussion, but that's okay. Go through concussion protocol, miss a couple of weeks, maybe a month. You're back to playing. Until a couple of seasons later, when you get hit in the same spot again. This is how concussions start piling up for a ton of professional athletes. It can start as early as high school or affect the top of the top. A sobering reminder that everybody, yes everybody, has a squishy motherboard in their head to protect. And with multiple traumatic head injuries, complications become increasingly possible. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, yes, the full government name, is when all those concussions permanently damage nerves and blood vessels in your brain. This condition kicks off progressively deteriorating gray matter, which may not be noticed for years. Unfortunately, with no display of symptoms, it's impossible to detect CTE. Can't exactly perform a brain autopsy with the patient alive and breathing, unless you're a real psycho. But when those symptoms show up, oh, they really show up. CTE causes cognitive and motor function issues. Your ability to think and recall things, your personality, your mood, how you physically control your body are all severely affected. There's a few very well-known cases of CTE in NFL history. For one of the greatest wide receivers in Steelers history, Antonio Brown. We just don't know for sure yet. But how do I know? Well, Antonio Brown drove 100 miles per hour down McKnight Road in Pittsburgh, which is a limit of 40. Trashed a condo and threw furniture out of a 14th floor window, which almost hit some people, notably a child. Killed a home aquarium of piranhas and refused to pay the man who installed the tank. Refused to play Week 17 for the Steelers. Dyed his mustache blonde. Refused to pay a chef because he thought he threatened him by placing a fish head in his freezer. A fish head that the chef was going to cook. Farted on a doctor. Demanded a trade from the Steelers. Showed up to Raiders training camp in a hot air balloon. Signed with the Patriots. Moved in with Tom Brady. Sexual assault allegations came out, the one where he's getting sued. Sexual harassment allegations came out, the one where he's not being sued. Threatened the woman not suing him in a group chat that included his lawyer and had a picture of her kids in his text. Got released by the Patriots after 1 week. Started training for a boxing match with Logan Paul. Tweeted, "No more white women 2020." Was involved with the dispute with movers at his home, where he allegedly threw rocks at the movers and their moving vans. Warrant issued for the rest of Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown turns himself to Broward County Jail wearing this suit. And he hasn't even murdered anyone. You could look at Aaron Hernandez, who offed his friend in 2013, and kicked his own bucket in prison shortly after. There are 4 stages of CTE, and at 27, Hernandez was firmly in stage 3. His hippocampus, where decision-making and judgment are controlled, was severely damaged. And yeah, that tracks. His sample of gray matter was on par of 46-year-olds with the same condition. On the dorm floor is kinda gross, but just the sheer dedication I have to my viewers, you know, all my millions of them. On a more serious note, I'd like to showcase how this begins. Wyatt Bramwell, an 18-year-old, tragically died from self-inflicted injury. In a video filmed before this, he requested that his brain be donated to science to check for CTE. After his death, it was found that Wyatt had stage 2 CTE, a level unprecedented in somebody his age. This is evidence that it takes even fewer hits than anyone thought to cause the condition. And with the recommended age for children to start playing tackle football, ages 12 to 14, this is concerning to parents. And small YouTubers who have no kids, but just talk about interesting sports stuff. Especially when Pop Warner allows children to start tackle football at 5. It is in fact a free country, and football is undoubtedly a fun sport. However, when there's 5-year-olds giving each other permanent brain damage, there may be a problem there to be fixed. Just an opinion. So what's the long-term solution for this? Well, the obvious one would be just stop kids from playing football that early. My many haters will say that this may result in a lower chance of success in the sport if the kids don't learn early. However, I have an analogy. Continuing the trend of being unable to make a video without talking about basketball, I'd like to compare the processes of kids getting ready to play each sport. On average, professionals start playing basketball pretty early on. Kids could start as early as 6, about the same age as Pop Warner football. Unless you're a freak case like Giannis or Embiid, who both started in their teens, it usually takes a while to develop fundamentals and technique. With a lot of things to learn, like developing a jump shot, establishing footwork, and teaching passing skills, it usually takes a while for kids to get a handle on playing semi-elite basketball. Also, it's a lot less dangerous. Therefore, it's justified to start playing so early on. However, football is a much different game. With more specialized positions, there's less of a variety of skills to learn. Past the fundamentals of throwing, catching, kicking, and running with the football, kids then go on to learn a specific subset of skills. Therefore, I could argue that most children could start later and enjoy the same success in the sport. Even flag football could serve as a safer alternative until at least middle school. But for now, as we know, there's an increasingly worse trend in CTE showing up in players that started that early. There is equipment, in theory, that would help this issue. Developments in helmet technology happen frequently to give the NFL good press on player safety. In the last couple of years, there's been a newer innovation called Guardian caps. A soft shell on the outside of a helmet to minimize concussion impact. Seems like a great idea at first, until you look at it and realize it's kind of like a diaper on their head. And yeah, it's goofy as hell, but if it protects players, that's the most important thing. However, there's never a perfect solution. This study by the National Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health looked into whether or not Guardian caps actually reduce head impact. And this quote-unquote study by the NFL did the same. First, the independent study. They studied a small sample size of college football players and didn't find a significant difference by players using this cap in games versus the control group. However, in their study, the NFL found a 50% decrease in concussions when using Guardian caps for certain positions in practices in 2022, 2021, and 2019, with a lot less credibility, in my opinion. For lack of a better term, the National Journal study completely mogs the NFL. This is a short PR article that doesn't outline sources, number of players examined, or details about head trauma. Something doesn't quite add up. If a small independent study reached a different conclusion than the NFL did, is it possible that the NFL could be withholding information for PR's sake? Well, yes and no. If I worked public relations for the NFL, I would certainly love a be-all end-all solution for head trauma. But the NFL does have some strong data. They examined preseason practices. It's true that the Guardian caps hold up in practice to reduce head trauma, which is the 50% decrease that they throw around, but there's evidence that the games are different environments altogether, and there's no visible improvement from the independent study. As technology develops further, CTE will hopefully become an issue of the past. But for now, there's no easy solution to stop it altogether. Turns out a sport where grown men throw themselves at each other as hard as possible is not the healthiest to play. It's important that the players know the risk and still choose to play and get paid like millions of dollars to play. It's all in the name of the love of the game. And that's a bar. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe so you can see my lovely smiling face again. Goodbye.